says, think of health when you are in a health and not when you are sick. We always tell our patients that prehabilitation, that is, prevention is better than cure always. A wonderful shloka says, Pathe sati kadartasyam kim aushade nishevanehi, pathe asati kadartasyam kim aushade nishevanehi. If we follow a proper diet, there is no need of a medicine. And that's what we are going to learn from Sir today. Excessive use of antibiotics and painkillers is dangerous, which leads to the development of resistance to the bacterial infections, and the number is really huge. In the era of quinoa and oats and chia seeds, we have forgotten that our wonderful life begins in the mother's womb, and the food journey starts with the breast milk, followed by first food of our life is always either ragi or rajgira. We all agree with that. And throughout the life journey, somehow we have so many mismanagements in a busy schedule that we forget our roots. But towards the end of the life, again, when medically we tell the patients, elderly patients, that you have gluten sensitivity, you cannot tolerate milk, and then again they go back to the roots, what we say as lal tandalachi pez, nachnichi bakri, jwariche dhapate kind of thing, which are the forgotten millets. Now we are very lucky that we have Sir with us today. So let's hear from the millet man and reveal the mystery behind the health benefits of our traditional millets. I was just speaking to one of his volunteers, he said that it is called as Devdhanya. So Devdhanya is something what we call as millets. They definitely connect us to the physical health, but word itself denotes that it has spirituality. So we can actually get connected with this food in a spiritual way.
Good evening, everyone, and I'm so happy and privileged to speak to a group of practitioners of medicine, and it's a pleasure, especially ISKCON group of people I have high regard. Philosophically, the word Krishna is the ultimate reality, and from which everything emanates and into which everything gets into. So, and that being the reality, what we all do is an illusion. So we try to reach the reality through these illusionary moments of our existence. It's a privilege to stand in this kind of audience and great guru, and it's incredible feeling for me as a person. That apart, my journey, I am a doctorate Ph.D. In steroid metabolism. Worked with various biological systems, microbes, mammals, and plant. Did my Ph.D. in University of Science, Bangalore, and from there I went to America in Portland, Oregon, where I worked on a lot of toxic chemicals, including dioxin. I'm the first person who have decoded the pathway of degradation, and in fact we have the US military running a project even now to degrade TNT and all biological processes without having to burn or create more pollution. And I've done lot more military projects and lot of that kind of stuff. And on top of it, I did work in genetic engineering field and worked in DuPont. You all know about DuPont, an MNC. I was in CR&D. I worked in pharmaceutical field as well as in agricultural field and drug discovery and that kind of bringing it to this all these what do I call, the business end of the medicine. So the practicing allopathic established system, I am in and out there. In fact, we had to figure out the small amounts of cholesterol, one of the pesticides detective systems. So we developed this strip. Wherever you go, you can even just go and hold the strip in the air and see if that pesticide is available or not there, and then you can put it in the soil. And so we developed that kind of assay systems. In fact, your glucose strip, the checking is the fallout of that kind of research that we did in DuPont, and so with Merck, that connection. All these kinds of things I did, and also worked in some of this. You might not understand this. Parahydroxybenzoic acid is the liquid crystal that you all have in your system. So we developed a very non-polluting way of biological systems with toluene to. So while doing that, we did with a lot of genetic manipulations of some microbial systems. So I worked a lot of these issues, and also dealt with lignin biosynthesis and degradation systems, and we figured out the biological process of how lignin gets synthesized and how it gets degraded in nature, and we extracted the enzymes and genes and tried to manipulate, and so all that kind of things I have done for 12, 15 years. And while doing that, I was also in the pesticide side of the agricultural field, and so I had the bad luck of spraying tons of fertilizers and pesticides just for experiment sake. I was in experimental station, DuPont, CR&D, Wilmington, so we did a lot of this work in large-scale agricultural fields with various fungicides and all kinds of systems. So that's my so-called scientific background. But then when first I went to America in 1986 or 87, the first thing I observed was a small baby, a 6-year-old baby menstruating, which shocked the hell out of my life. I mean, how on earth a 6-year-old girl can menstruate? And so I was very curious. I just asked an MD doctor who was, first day I had to go and get a medical certificate to join. So this was my experience. And then in typical American style, he said, just mind your business. That was his. So I was very, very upset because I just finished my Ph.D. and you think you're going to America and a lot of great science and this and that. That was the mental makeup. And you go there and you ask a simple question, why a 6-year-old girl is menstruating. And I found that it's not just one girl. Almost all the girls, many girls in America were menstruating by then itself at the age of 9 or 10. So from where I went, India, the thing got stuck in my mind is all my batchmates and all, they were menstruating at the age of 14 or 15. And so I said, what is this? And I started asking people, and then I got back the answer saying that, oh, no, we hear kids are menstruating at the age of 9. So it didn't fit into my perception. I said, why is it going on? Why? We are all human beings, and there should not be any difference. And then all at a sudden, because I did Ph.D. on steroids, so androstenedione, testosterone, all these kinds of estrogen, progesterone. I did a lot of microbial studies on all these compounds. So I knew there is something wrong with the hormonal balance. So in no time I figured out that they are feeding their babies the milk that is produced from oxytocin and estrogen injections, and it didn't take me long to connect, and it is the milk that is the culprit. So within 3 weeks, it just fell into place. I said, oh God, milk is a wonderful, unstable product that is a complete food for a mammalian baby, whether it is human milk or cow's milk or goat's milk or tiger milk, whatever it is. But it's a small place, don't worry. Everyone can hear, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. So the moment I defined milk, that means it has to be delivered from the nipple of the breast of the mother to the mouth of the baby. So there should not be any in-between business. So we have done business with the milk. So once I defined the milk that way, then the mistakes of the human race just flashed in front of my eyes. And so what made this happen is just the business end of the deal. So in the name of biotechnology, and whose milk are you feeding the babies? You are feeding the milk of some cow. And then to increase the amount of milk, that's because the ladies in America didn't want to feed their babies because they were busy for whatever, career and all that. So within a week or two, they want to put the babies in nurseries or whatever, give the bottle, and then this social makeup, the societal pressures made them go away from natural. A lactating mother should be feeding the babies. That's the general natural process where you have a complete system. So you are breaking there, and then imagine from that time itself, the breast nodules started appearing in Americans more and more and more. The babies started menstruating at the age of 9, 8 because they started being fed with this hormone-rid milk. So it was very clear for me in the first 3 weeks itself, this is completely disconnecting from nature. So, but then by then itself they have made people believe that milk is complete food. And we started teaching in the books that milk is complete food. What about the real milk story in other parts of the world? No one actually was getting milk, because in India also people used to feed the calf first, then whatever little was left, and they were not even milking, it used to pour out itself. And that milk they were actually, because it goes bad within no time, so it used to turn itself into curds, and then the people figured out that you can make curds out of the left out milk. And how much curds you get? Not even quarter liter or so from cow. But then the biotechnology turned it into a machine of milk making. A cow now goes on giving milk for months together because of this biotechnological advances, and we call in quotes advances. But we didn't recognize that we are going away from nature. So the imbalance created by this milk production and consumption has changed the nature of people themselves. And it clicked into the system, and people started becoming obese. The obesity problem started there. So people, in the name of consuming milk, because these guys work on very high plane to popularize whatever they discover, whatever you call that. It is to the end of business they do all these things. It's not for anything else. So they were very quick in popularizing these techniques and technologies, transported into all over the world, and started making business of it. And so in no time, within 5 to 10 years, the whole world started drinking this milk. And lo and behold, now in India, I get cases, 4-year-old girl started menstruating. And that is the sad story of last 40, 50 years. So once I recognized this problem, that it is the food gone wrong created all these problems, and it is obvious in the women, But in the men, what happened in the last 40, 50 years, they started losing the sperm because of the hormone imbalance. Now the sperm count has come down to 20, 30 millions, to the extent now allopathic establishment says even 20 million is okay, normal range. But actually the real normal range of the sperm count should be somewhere between 70 million to 70 to 150 million. That should have been the range. If you go back, say 30 years and see the range in the thing, you will see that as the normal range. But now, even if a male comes and 20 million, there is okay. Because they cannot do anything about it, because we have changed our systems. It's considered normal, 20 million, okay. So these kinds of skewing the nature to suit the business needs has been the norm of the establishment for the last 30 years, more so in the pharmaceutical industry. So we have noticed that, because I worked in the department of pharmacy and developing drugs, and so it hit me that what about the food that we are eating? How is it produced? And why are we having so many problems? So back then in 1990s, before 1990, it hit me that the whole world is being taken for a ride by these food companies, food production companies, that they started changing our food all over the world. And now you see, all the world eats only 4 or 5 materials. That is rice, wheat, milk, sugar, and meat. And to produce these 5 items, the nature is completely ruined. As we speak, the Brazil has burnt half their Amazon forest, the rainforest, to produce meat. They are making to grow the soybean and the corn, genetically modified, so that they can make the animal feed all over and they make the meat. The meat is produced in a matter of 3 months, the pig meat, and 6 months the cow's meat, and 2 months the chicken, and all depending upon steroids and antibiotics. So the whole world started eating now eggs. People are eating eggs on the roads. I mean, it's like jillions of eggs are produced. But if you actually see in nature, a chicken takes so much time to produce 21 eggs. But now, in 21 days, each chicken can produce 200, 300 eggs. I mean, this is the kind of technologies we have developed. And we think that eggs are food for us, and that milk is food for our babies. This rice is produced in unnatural forms in lot of quantities in the name of green revolution to feed people. So we are carrying all this residue. These are called residues. Actually, in agriculture research, it's called residues. The residues are accumulating in the body, bioconcentrating themselves, and then reaching high proportions, alarming proportions, into such an extent that we find these residues in the blood samples of penguins, which are way down in the South Pole. And in 1950, the amount of pesticides and fertilizers used was 5,000 tons. That's it. But now we don't even have inventory how much pesticides and insecticides and fertilizers we are using on this planet. We have contaminated all the water bodies in the world. Absolutely. Everything is contaminated. So we have lost hold of pure water also doesn't exist. And you have to go to maybe South Pole and North Pole and dig deep, and then you can find some sample without these pesticide residues or toxic materials. And this is the story of food production. And so, for me it is very simple that because we are eating not the right food, because it's not at all food, it is not found in nature actually. The sugar cane is actually a plant which is found very rare in jungles. But then we have taken as a choice, this British people's confectionery addiction got sugar cane selectively now zillions of acres of land is used to grow sugarcane now. We are producing liquor as well as sugar from that, and sugar is part of everyone's, people are consuming in tons and tons and tons. India alone produces 48 lakh tons of sugar. And sugar is the penultimate product of our digestive process. That means we are the last step. It gives you glucose into your blood. The ultimate objective of digestion is to release glucose into the blood, to be absorbed by the small intestine and released into and that release of glucose is gone haywire in the last 30-40 years. The moment we started eating rice and wheat, there is no control, absolutely no control. So the increased amounts of glucose in the blood kickstarts all emergency activities, glycogen synthesis, cholesterol, triglycerides, accumulation of fats, and so people have become obese, and we call it another disease. And then the amount of glucose is so much, the blood hemoglobin itself takes it on. So when the HbA1c increases, and we call you diabetic. So this is how we are producing. So it is the sugar, it is the rice, it is the wheat that we are consuming is directly responsible for. So the simple answer should be, don't eat rice, don't eat wheat, don't eat sugar. Should have been the simple answer from the established medical world. But the doctors refuse to say these things. In simple terms, eat whatever you want, take these tablets. And this is the condition we have reached right now. The simple analysis that the food is right, then there is no need for medicine. And if your food is not right, how many number of medicines you can develop and take, nothing is going to happen to you. And that's what is happening right now all over the world. We are all in the illusion that we are healing people and all that. You are just managing from one disease to the other disease to the other, or compounding the diseased condition of the body. So you are all not at all really looking into health parameters, rather you are trying to, you have actually caught yourself into the spintile of this vicious circle of going from one disease to the other, or adding one disease to the other. So this is the way I look at the whole system right now as what is happening. So what is the way out? Way out is to get back to natural foods which can release the glucose in a slow and steady fashion. That means the regulation of glucose is designed to be with the food. That's where it should be. What goes into our mouth should have the control. So the glucose should not be flooding the blood. Even if it is gone, there should be regulation even in the blood. So there is something called fiber, soluble fiber, insoluble fiber. So once you provide that regulators of glucose, then the body is at ease. Because there is no flooding of glucose, the 5 grams per the body, 5 liters of the blood is maintained, the balance is there, then every other physiological activity goes on smoothly. The moment the glucose increases, then you have different kinds of metabolic activities switched on, emergency conditions declared, and the natural processes are all put on hold. And this is what we are doing to all the people in the world by giving the food that we are eating right now. So unless you change this, you cannot be healthy. Very clear for me. So we took some gangrene patients, we took some heart block patients, we took some hypertension patients, we took HbA1c 12%. We started feeding the food that can regulate the entry of glucose. And those are the 5 grains we have come up with: Kodo millet, Foxtail millet, Barnyard millet, Browntop millet, little millet. These 5 millets, they are also called, American millet is Browntop millet, African millet is little millet, Italian millet is Foxtail millet, Japanese millet is Barnyard millet, Himalayan millet is Kodo millet. What it means is the distribution. It is all over the world. You can find this. And just do small bit of research, you find historically everywhere people were eating this food. And we didn't find diabetic patients way back in 150 years ago in India. Very rarely. 1 in a crore or something. So it hit me that we get back to this as food, then we can cure obese people, don't mistake me. We can cure hypertension, we can cure diabetes, we can cure gangrenous conditions, we can cure almost anything, because it is this central point of regulation of glucose we have screwed up in the last 30-40 years in our food, because anywhere you go, sugar is coated. Even if you want to eat little khara, namkeen, there is 30 grams of glucose, and then they increase the khara part. So every food item in the world is contaminated with sugar, which is the last thing you want to put it in your mouth, because that is the penultimate product of our digestive process. Biochemically, if you have the product of a biochemical reaction in the front end, the whole system is screwed up. I mean, this is simple kinetic mechanism. So we are doing mistake this way and that way. So with this simple logic, we started feeding these kinds of patients with these 5 grains. Lo and behold, sir, all things started happening. The gangrenous condition disappeared in 3 weeks. HbA1cs started coming down to 8, 6, 5 in a matter of 6 months. Heart blocks started disappearing. All these good things started happening. And that's when I started realizing that it is the food that is the imparting health parameters in the body, nothing else. So I keep telling, if your food is right, no medicine is required. And if your food is wrong, no medicine works. Whatever medicine you call, homeopathy, allopathy, naturopathy, tatopathy, and if nothing works, you go to Tirupati, you will become Draupadi, nothing else. This is the simple, straightforward solution we have. So, easy. Just say no to this industrial food. I call this industrial food because it is produced in large scale all over the world, which is not supposed to be. We are not supposed to be touching these things because they are not available in nature. We have selected them, and then on an industrial scale we have started producing with all these so-called advanced techniques, be it in the agriculture field or in the biotechnology field. And we started eating meat, which is not the food at all for the human race, the human gut. And while doing this, we have screwed up all the basics of our existence. You know, we actually are not what we are. We actually are the microbiome that infests. The infest is a wrong word. It harboring. We harbor the lot of microbial populations in our gut, and that is where actually your immunity starts. But we have been systematically eliminating this wonderful microbiome from our bodies in the last 30-40 years, because it has become mainstay of the medicinal system to first give antibiotics. That's a very, very, very sad thing that has happened in our medical system. So you keep killing the microbes that are supposed to be doing good for you. But then it takes so much time for people to develop the right microbiome, and we have eliminated all the methods of filling the microbiome. And what are these microbes? Where are they coming from? Where are these kinds of microbiological populations we can fill with our... So the original natural food materials that harbor these microbes have to go in. So the first and best example is our ganji. We call ganji porridge, fermented porridge of various grains, fills our tummy with wonderful microbial world. this, because I had a lot of experience with microbial world, it was very easy for me to figure this out. So the moment the babies are born, what we are feeding is wrong food. The milk that is not supposed to be going into their bodies. Other than mother's milk, nothing should go into the baby's mouth till the age of 9 months. 9 months in the tummy, 9 months at the breast. These are all simple things figured out long ago in our culture. So our culture was not like this Vedas, everything is amalgamated, and Ayurveda, all these things are put together. We were leading a holistic life, not disturbing the nature and then trying to take part into the nature and then giving the sustainable model of growing food. All these things were already well within our system. But then slowly and steadily in the last 100 years, we have been breaking all these simple natural methods and procedures. So a lot of people have problems with gastric acidity, and then the doctors are suggesting keep eating every 2 hours, every 2 hours. I mean, no other work we have. Go on eating, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Whatever you're supposed to do. You to see that once you eat, you don't need to eat. And that's what these food grains are. Once you eat Kodo millet, idli, 4 or 5 in the morning, you will not need to give anything till the evening, because it keeps supplying the required glucose and the ATP production is on a regulated fashion. You don't feel hungry, you don't feel tired, nothing, and you are up to do anything, any work with a lot of energy, because this is the regulated release of, you can call energy, the ATP production itself. And the lignans that are present in the fiber of these 5 grains is the ultimate cleaning system that you get into your body. Lignans are actually the PMF. The whole biochemical reactions work on electromotive force with driven by PMF, and that PMF is lignans. So the electron is tumbling down and then you keep making ATP. Ultimately, the electron has to find itself nullified in the biological system. And that is where these so-called antioxidants and all these chemicals come, the vitamins and all this. And even after the vitamins do their job, the electronic charge left out has to find nullification. And that can come only with these wonderful chemicals called lignans. Lignans are actually precursors of lignins. You know what is lignin? The chair you are sitting. So now, if you sit in the chair, you give you electric shock, you will not be electrocuted. Because even that powerful current finds itself nullified there. Because the lignin is very complex polymer with aromatic electrons spreading itself. So it can take any amount of course, you cannot give huge amount of current, but that particular part, if you were to sit on an iron chair, even if the small shock would electrocute. And that's what the lignans do in your body. All kinds of toxic materials in the form of the electronic waste, that electric signals are to be found, cleaning system, and that's what these lignans provide. And there are a lot of it in each of these grains, and there are variations of lignans. There are solubles, insoluble. So the insoluble goes and just gets stuck to the rectum and the large intestinal area, where the cleaning goes on and on, and that's how your intestines, large intestines, are completely protected. All this irritable bowel syndrome, all these celiac diseases, all those things are eliminated in no time. You see, the whole cleaning of the body in the real sense happens by choosing the right food. Hence, all these benefits accrue to your systems. So for me it was very simple. So we are in a mess, spinning down and down, and we keep claiming that we are doing something. And with all due respect, if your heart problem is there, now the technology, I will print your heart in 3D and then put it back. And to that extent we are talking. But that's not the path we need to tread. We need to respect the body's natural systems and keep protecting it. And then if you can keep the safe and health of the system in the first place, you don't need all this unnecessary hangama. So this simple thought process led me to figure out the food. And so we insist that rice is not your food, wheat is not your food, milk is not your food, sugar is absolute poison according to me, to the human body. As soon as you eat, you don't die. It's a slow poison. And you are addicted to this sugar. So all these bad things, but we are not talking about it. And that is the wrong thing that the present medical world is doing. Whatever you eat, you can take this tablet. And that is the kind of situation we have come into. And on top of it, we have nutrition, we keep talking, it's all business oriented. Oh, vitamin B12 is less. And they claim that meat has vitamin B12 and the whole world is eating meat. Then how is it still we are having vitamin B12 deficiency? And then we say calcium comes from milk. And then we have been drinking liters and liters of milk. As if liters of milk is not enough, we are eating paneer nowadays, concentrate it and then eat. And what happened? We are still selling calcium tablets in billions of dollars. Apart from that, we still have calcium deficiency. That means we are going in the wrong direction. So calcium is not coming into our bodies at all. That's what it means. So simple sesame seed. In fact, if you go back and look into the history of any culture, whether it's Arabic world or Chinese or Americans or Indians, sesame seed has been lavishly used in almost all preparations, different kinds of preparations. Why were they using? Because it was maintaining the calcium. So we just tell all our patients once a week, eat small sesame seed laddu made with palm jaggery, because we cannot support this sugarcane jaggery because it is loaded with glucose, whereas palm jaggery is loaded with fructose. That is the difference. So fructose and glucose are isomers. Both are sweet. But glucose problem doesn't come when you eat palm jaggery. It takes a lot of time for fructose to get transformed to glucose. There are 28 steps if you have to convert fructose to glucose. So that wonderful regulation happens. So I don't tell people not to eat sweet, but eat the right sweet. That is palm jaggery. There are varieties of palm jaggeries, silver date palm jaggery, date jaggery, different palmaceae trees are there, and different locales, different plants. And all of them give you wonderful jaggery. So you go to Arabic world, they have dates. You go to south, in our Andhra, we have silver date palms. Eechlu gida anta, Eeta chettu. And that is, lot of it is there in Bengal even today. In fact, if you just switch to that, just Bengal alone can supply the jaggery to the whole world. That is the scene. So we have been driven by this industrial food culture to this sugarcane jaggery, which should not have been grown in the first place. In fact, that is 38% of our land, agricultural land, has been destroyed by sugarcane production all over the world. And the remaining is now being destroyed for meat production. And to produce 1 kilo meat, you need 50,000 liters of. I'm almost at the end of, I don't want to take more time. I'm just giving everything in gist. We will have a question and answer session. And that is more important. I just want to give a background so that we can interact and then have question and answers. Another 5 minutes, I'm coming to the end of my presentation, brief presentation. So I have given you the characteristics of Siridhanya food, how and in what way it can help, the theoretical part of it, and then we have done lot of practical application. We have fed hundreds and thousands of patients have been reporting, and I have been practicing so-called homeopathy. I use the word so-called because if the food is not right, no pati works. No pati works because they keep coming back. They keep coming back. So if the medicine works, the patient should not come back to you. That means a doctor's role is to eliminate his job from the patient's life. So if the patient comes to you, then he should be able to spend the rest of his life not going to a doctor. And that is what a doctor's role should be. And that's how I define a doctor to be. So if we can do that, so the logical extension of this argument is that if we are working for health of the people over a period of time, we should be closing down the hospitals. Am I right? But then what are we doing? Every 6 months we are opening multi-specialty hospitals in every street of every city. That means something is wrong here. Something is wrong here. So in fact, I tell sometimes if we stop drinking coffee, tea and milk and sugar, we can close down half the hospitals. Just doing this much. And then if we switch off rice and wheat and meat from our plates, we can close down the remaining hospitals completely. Of course, we need few hospitals for emergency care. I have no doubt about that. Certainly, I can confidently say, if we change our food from what we are eating now to the foods that are natural and local, I can without any doubt declare that we can close down the hospitals in next coming 5 years. Guaranteed. That much confident I am. I have so many patients recovering in such a wonderful way. It is not recovering, they are getting healthier and healthier and healthier. In fact, I have hundreds of families. The babies have not seen the doctor at all for the last 12 years. So, if we follow the right food practices, not even the cold, cough and all that, absolutely zero. In fact, the babies can go drench themselves in rain and come on, no problem. That we can build with the right food in your house, in your homes. So this kind of activities we have been trying to communicate to people so that you can eliminate the need of a doctor in your life. And that can happen only with the right food and a bit of lifestyle adjustment. And so among that, the most important thing is cleaning up of water that you are drinking because we have polluted. How to clean the water? In fact, when I come out, I put a small copper strip in my bottle. Because when I travel, I get only classic water wherever I go. So I put it in this. I put it in this. 3 to 4 hours, this water is cleaned up. So in the house, we recommend this copper plate is good enough to clean 20 liters of water. So you put your water in a mud pot or steel vessel overnight. So just allowing it to settle down, lot of things by gravity, things and whatever pollutants that you have in water, because of d orbital electrons freely roaming around on the surface of the plate, starts doing the cleaning up of job, including viruses are cleaned up. So once in 15 hours or 24 hours, to take the plate and clean it with tamarind juice or lemon juice with little salt, the copper plate is ready to go for another 24 hours for this much surface area. So you have sustainable, non-polluting cleaning up of water for generations to come. So if you buy this plate, all the people in your family for generations to come to get good clean water, And we have also found even the nanoparticles of plastic materials get deposited on this over a period of time. So the water that we are getting through plastic pipes, Bisleri bottles, this and that also, and these nanoparticles are one of the important reasons why we have cancer, why we have lot of problems in our body. So unless you change the water, most of your problems remain with you. So the water you are drinking through these filters, all these plastic pipes, first should be eliminated from your homes. That is foremost important thing. And this part of it has been declared long ago in our texts. That in fact in Karnataka, if you come to Madikeri area, there are temples. Wherever you go in the corners, they have these copper plates on the pillars. And in fact, on the roof, they have copper plates, even today. And in fact, they have rooftop water harvesting system that comes. And so this, even if you touch copper for 5 minutes, the virus, bacteria that are there, you get cleaned up. In fact, that is the reason why many kids were being put these copper rings and to the legs and onto the, and also it does the electrical charge stabilization in your body. Lot of systems that are going wrong can be corrected. So these are the wonderful uses, and this is very well described in Ayurvedic texts, and you can go back and refer. So this is not a new thing. We are just talking, d orbitals, that bandwidth of the energy is right, and that's how you clean, and it makes the water structured. All this explanation is in terms of so-called science. But then this has been figured out long ago, and they were doing that. In fact, our sadhus, wherever they go, they had this kamandala. So they had this structured water all along. They always used to drink that. And so this is the story of water. So you please change your water, the way you drink water, the cooking for food also use this water only. But clean the plate on a regular basis. If you do not clean, then you are going to have all the things again back. So that being the case, and you don't drink milk, please. Milk is very dangerous. It has screwed up the health of people on this planet in a very bad way. We are all hormonally imbalanced because of milk and its dairy products. Of course, once you ferment the lactobacillus, as I told you, the microbiome, 63% of it is lactobacillus for human gut. The remaining 37% various other bacteria. So all that can be provided using the fermented porridge of these wonderful grains. So once a week or twice a week, please consume the food in form of fermented porridge. So how to make these foods, all that is being completely loaded into the Sirijivan.org. The procedures, everything is clearly spelled out. So we have, along with all these adjustments, we also require to wake up in the morning when the sun rises. Please be awake. Don't go on sleeping. When there is night, you sleep. When there is light, you be awake. And that's what we are meant to do. So before sun comes out, you be awake and see that wonderful orange light. Your rods and cones click, and your whole biochemistry is different. So that's why we have what is called Surya Namaskara, and Surya Namaskara, the posture, when the sun is rising in the horizon, you better look at it. But then funnily, the yoga teachers are all teaching Surya Namaskara at 12 o'clock in the evening, or 5 o'clock. So this is another sad story. She's laughing. So Surya Namaskara is in that particular time when the sun is rising or when the sun is setting. That's when you do Surya Namaskara, and that's when everything happens. In fact, the whole body, biochemistry, the physiological changes, you have to do only for 21 days to see the difference in your body. Just get up, don't worry about all that I have spoken, about food and all that. That's the next stage. Just get up and have morning 21 namaskaras in that 5-10 minutes. It's all that it takes. It doesn't stay for long, that orange wonderful kashaya color surya coming out. So just that 4 or 5 minutes, all that it requires, and all your vitamin D, all those things happens in that moment, fine. So nowadays there is a big hullabulla about vitamin D deficiency, vitamin B12 deficiency. All those things completely will be eliminated in no time. But then how many people are getting up and seeing Suryodaya every day? And luckily in our country we can actually see the sunrise almost 300 days in a year. But are you seeing at least 30 days? Does any doctor recommend people to get up and see? And actually if you do, you will have no eye problems at all. Period. No discussion. Just this much is good enough. So whoever is complaining, I have this problem, I have this eye problem, please get up in the morning, 21 days see. And then if you follow these simple things, of course I have one more item to add, you walk for an hour and a half, because the glucose to burn and create that potential. If you walk early in the morning 1.5 hours, all the glucose present in the blood, 5 grams gets to ATP and you burn it. So once you have burnt, your blood wants the glucose to be filled in. So the potential is built, the engine starts. So there is no problem at all for the flow of the glucose, and you have regulating the glucose in terms of our Siridhanya food. Everything works out fine. Absolutely no disease condition in the body. So it's not just Siridhanya alone, but Siridhanya being the main character here, the food. But you need all these associated characters. When you want the drama to be complete, you need all these things. So the hero is Siridhanya, or heroine is Siridhanya. A hero is of course God. So all these things have to happen in your system, and everything will fall in place. And believe me, it doesn't take more than 6 months. We have had wonderful results with even myasthenia gravis, muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis. These are so-called rare progressive diseases where there is no cure. Of course there is no cure for anything. Diabetes lifelong, BP lifelong, thyroid lifelong. That's what you have to offer. You keep taking tablets lifelong. But then we are here to tell the world, you can get out of all this by just practicing simple, natural food materials and food practices. Thank you. This is all that I have to communicate to you people, and the floor is open for question and answers.
What is the meaning of Siri Dhanya?
Yeah. Dhanya is grain. Yeah. Siri in our language means wealth of the wealth. Opulence. So what is opulence? It is only health that can be, money is not the real Siri. You can have all the money in the world, and then if you don't have health, it's useless. So the real wealth is only health. So many people say, if you have, wealth is, but it is not true. You cannot equate wealth to health. If you have health, you have everything. You have everything. And if you have wealth alone, you have almost nothing if you don't have health. So that's how we termed this dhanya, because it gives you the health in terms of your body and existence. And eating these 5 grains. What about the other grains?
These 5 grains, names were really complicated. We didn't understand what are the names of 5 grains.
Yeah, we'll get back. This is called Foxtail millet. Foxtail millet, because it's, when it forms the pinnacle.
What is the name? It's an English name.
It's an English name called Foxtail millet. In Hindi it is called kutki, kangni, kangni, kutki, jingara, all these 5 grains. And Kodo is, Kodo millet is called Kodo millet only. There is no English or Hindi word. It is the same. These are different languages. Sorry, sir. Actually, we are from South, so we didn't think of North fellows to start with. Marathi, yeah, yeah, Kodra, and some of the words are not available because people do not know. But you were using all these grains before.
So this is still work in progress. We are trying to figure out all the local names. Yeah.
And after figuring out local names, where it is available?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we'll come
we'll
to
cover
that.
that.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Yeah, and the point is that all these grains were disappearing. They were disappearing from this planet. Foxtail millet is also called Italian millet. That means Italy people were eating foxtail millet. Japanese millet, barnyard millet, called udlu, that is jingara, na? Jingara. They were, so these foods were available all over the world. But luckily, our villages, old farmers, yeah, website, everything is there. Well, let's talk about the importance and how we have lost the names also. See, the point is, you people in this hullabulla of modern urban living, we have forgotten all the traditional foods, and even the seeds have disappeared, because that's the intention of the industrial food culture, to eliminate all the good things so that they have everything in their hands. And this is 100% guaranteed. They don't want any local food cultures to exist anymore on this planet. But the health lies only in local, seasonal food materials for every human being. And in that context, we have something more. Oils. Oils are also important, because when the baby is growing, you need the fat. Your brain, your kidney, your spleen, all these are made of fat material. So you have to provide the right fat, the clean, wonderful fat material which makes your nervous system, your nephrons, all these materials, 60 to 70% of it is made of fat material. So if the fat itself is gone wrong, when the embryo is growing into a baby, if you are providing wrong materials, and the result of and the proof of it is, we have 28 kids being born as ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disease, ADHD. Yeah. And we call differently abled, autistic kids and all that. And that percentage has been drastically increasing in the last 20 years. And it more so in the meat-eating world, and then slowly it is spreading to all over the world. And
All those things what we have here,
yeah.
on the table, what
I'm coming to. Yes. Yeah, many things people have not heard, because we have done a lot of research, dig back into the history, and then went into the villages. This I have done in the last, 1997 to 2005, because I was sure that the whole human race is trekking in the wrong path. So, to figure out what food is for human beings. What is food? The definition of food is, when you eat something, you should feel satiated and do not want to eat again and again, and give you health and energy to live the whole day. And that is the definition of food. And the physiological and metabolic definition is to regulate the glucose in wonderful balanced way and give you healthy condition. So you can define food in different dimensions and aspects of it. All that definitions should be met by our grain selection. And after that, we have figured out all these modern day diseases can be completely healed if we get back to that food systems. So step by step, we have done this and brought back all these grains. And in South India now, all these fry grains, all the farmers are given, and they are growing in large quantities, and Karnataka, Andhra, Telangana, Tamil Nadu. And slowly the word is spreading, and we include, it's not just that, and as I told you, I talked to you about the jaggery, the palm jaggery, which is the real sweet of the nature. And these are the oils, the dicotyledons, the protein. People are now talking about, you need to have a lot of protein. And these 5-packs, 6-packs, these cons showing up their bodies. And then all kids going to gyms and then whey protein and this and that are loaded with steroids. And in fact, last week I had a boy, 20-year-old, going to the gym, started sleeping in the bed. He started finding his bed wet with milk. His hormonal imbalance, the milk is oozing out in his body. This is the story of your so-called gym. Please don't go to gyms. Just go for long walks. You are healthier. Be careful. And this is fashion now in big cities. Gyms and dung like that, and 6-pack, 5-packs, and all movies talking about this 6-pack. Shah Rukh Khan flaunts of his body, and Amir Khan flaunts of his body, this fellow flaunts. So all are running to gyms. This is a vicious circle created by this, what do I call? I don't know what I call. So all these things are going on, please be aware. So the system is not working in bits and pieces, it is working in tandem. Everything is connected. So please be aware of this. I may be speaking here and there, but all things are connected. And that's what we are all about now. So if you are aware of these facts, you will have the wherewithal to get out of it. So in the name of science, in the name of development, in the name of modernity, we are going away from nature. So please relax, slow down, don't be in a hurry. You need to get your oils, you have to work for it. So look for these oils, and we talk about Ghana oils. Natural way of producing oils is you have to have slow RPM. If you actually use machines, the standard temperature and pressure is not there in that particular place. You are already burning the oil even when they are being produced. So you can heat the oil but not have the high pressure and then generate heat. So there is a different biochemical reactions going on in that place. So, but we have come away from this oil production. We are not even using this machine oils. We have gone to refined oils that is coming from your diesel industry. Whatever is left, that mineral oils, we are coloring and using some flavoring materials and calling it olive oil, calling it sunflower oil, sunpure oils. All this is gone out of whack. You people have to be aware of this. So the real oils, this is how it is produced, and in fact we are doing this. We have already established 185 Ghanas in South India, and we hope, and this was the case even in North. I mean, you people, I am sure you are aware of that wonderful oils. And these oils actually have helped us to reverse these so-called autistic kids who had no prajna. They can't say eye to eye contact. Even such kids have come back. They are able to see eye into eye and then have contact and able to learn now using this Niger seed. The oils produced like this: sesame seed oil, coconut oil, groundnut oil, Niger seed oil. Especially Niger seed oil in our language is called huchellenne. Huchu means madness. In Telugu it is called verinuvul nune. Very means kind of not being all right. So these systems can be corrected using the right oil, because here the problem is there. So the nervous system is to be cleaned, and that can be done by fat materials only. So we suggest to drink 2 or 3 spoons of this oil early in the morning on empty stomach, and we have seen enormous amount of result for Parkinson's patients, Alzheimer patients, paralysis patients, and differently abled kids, and many thyroid patients have been completely healed by these procedures. So hundreds, not hundreds, thousands, not thousands. In fact, many people say it's even lakhs. Lakhs of people are using these food items in South and are finding their lives much better. So this is the thing that we have done so far, and all this information, and we would This is basically little millet, sama.
It's also
Yeah,
popularly
in
known
fact,
as
that is the
varai.
annaprasa.
Tuesday
The
fasting
baby after
food.
9 months, the first thing you want to give is this little millet. And it so happens, it corrects all the hormonal imbalances. And you see, they have the brains to see, to set the right hormonal balance for the baby. The first food is sama. Then comes your raga and rajgir, all that actually. So dig back into the history, you will find all this information. I have not discovered these things. I only have brought them back and then trying to again introduce to the consciousness of the human race these wonderful grains. Created these so-called modern day diseases, and now I confidently can claim that this is the only way for health of the human race. No other method exists. And Kodo actually is little pinkish in color. In fact, this is all the Himalayan belt. That side Tibet, China, Nepal, this side all the belt, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, all these people even today, many tribal people are eating Kodo chawal. Kodo. English name is also Kodo. And then you have Foxtail millet. This kanki, that when it forms the grains, this looks like foxtail. That's why it is called Foxtail millet. And it is the food used in Italian Alps and all those areas. And this is greenish Browntop millet. It looks like a top, the grain, and when you dehusk them, it looks. And another important parameter of these grains, the ratio of carbohydrate to the fiber comes into single digits.
Is ragi one of the 5 millets?
Yeah, here is it is not one of the 5 millets. It is the next neutral millet. Bajra also falls into this. Juwari also falls into this. What it means is that if you have diabetes, if you have BP, if you have cancer, you cannot cure yourself with these neutral grains, because the ratio of the fiber to carbohydrate is in double digits, in large numbers. Whereas these 5 grains, you see,